Chris, good afternoon. Hope all is well, my friend. And I'm looking forward to catching up with you today. So you can share with me a little bit about your new brand. But for all our new listeners, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been making wine for over a decade now. I started small vineyards and kind of stayed with them for the majority of my early career, really getting into the details, getting into the weeds, so to speak, of winemaking, of what creates really epic, intense vineyard expression, so that you know when I say this is from this vineyard, this is the wine. But in the process of doing that, I also sort of started to grow curious about other opportunities and other directions that I might go. I continued to make the single vineyard wines under the Terragina label, of which this is sort of a member, but maybe the rowdy sideshow, so to speak, of the Terragina product lineup. And I'm really excited about it.
So tell me a little bit about the name.
Right. So the logo, it was kind of an accident. So Evolution, the idea was that it was a no rules wine. So my single vineyard wines, I say only from this vineyard, only this Pinot Noir, or only these grapes if I do a Bordeaux blend, for example. And I'm very strict about sort of the framework that those wines can be within, and think of fine art that has very clear defined rules, versus this, I really wanted to be more freeform. So I originally thought of it as like freestyle, as like freedom, I was trying to play with that. And I had a friend and I said, hey, I want some artwork. They're an artist. And I said, I'd like some artwork on, I have this freestyle label idea, and I sent it to them, and they gave me some cool graphic words, freestyle, this and that. I have them, but they just randomly threw out this picture, which I didn't ask for. I didn't know was coming, but I saw it and I said, this is perfect. And so it completely changed the brand direction, because this artwork was really unique. And then the idea of evolution sort of just started to sink in, because as you know, when you pour wine in a glass, it should evolve. It should grow, and when you age it, it should evolve, it should grow. And as people, as a person, we have to grow and evolve throughout our life. So I think you've got a glass poured, or definitely pour yourself a glass. I'll do the same, and we can, as we chat, we can kind of check in as it sort of matures and evolves during our conversation.
That's awesome. Looking forward to it, Chris.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh. Beautiful.
Yeah. And so this brand was designed because our single vineyards are so incredibly limited. Not everybody can have one, and they certainly can't have one every day. And the idea of evolution was to keep the Terragina quality, remove some of those rules, and create a wine that was just really incredible, but also incredibly affordable. And so we did this. And in order to do that, we had to say, we're not going to worry about the appellation. We're not going to worry about, things that sort of maybe sound good, but don't really have an effect on the flavor of the wine, right? If wine tastes good, do you really care if it came from Sonoma or Humboldt or Wisconsin, honestly? I mean, if it's good wine, it's good wine. And so that was the idea of evolution. Now, we did not source any wine from Wisconsin. It's all from California. But the idea is that that's the spirit that we could go into in future, just completely sort of tabula rasa space for me to play around as a winemaker, and not be restricted by any rules, and also provide something that can maybe introduce people to the brand that don't know what we're all about yet.
To your point, good wine is good wine. Right?
Yeah.
So regardless of where it's coming from, the appellation, we just normally remember that when we're at the wine store, or at the wine shop, right, at the grocery store, we just remember, hey, that was really good. It tasted great. And then obviously we'll spend some time while we're having dinner looking at the bottle or so forth, see what appellation and where it came from, right? But then that drives us to the point of price. So compared to your single vineyard wines, what is the price point, and why did you decide this price point for this wine?
Right, it's about half. So it's a really good deal compared to our single vineyard and single barrel wines. We chose that because I felt that $20 to $30 was a reasonable price to risk on a new winery that you just discovered, and that it felt like it's sustainable. I can, as a small winery, small producer, by removing those rules, those single vineyard requirements, by removing some of the restrictions that I have on my single vineyard wines, I can make this affordable wine that's exceptionally good, because we're not focusing on the marketing terms. We're focusing on of what's inside and the quality. And you mentioned looking at the bottle, to look at the appellation. As you notice, when you look at this bottle, maybe you could think about how the fact that we talk about it being a good wine, but we're trying to do good also, right? We're not just, the flavors have to be good, but you can buy any wine, and you can buy a lot of wines for $25 that are quite good. But what we're trying to do is build a network of sustainability, of social consciousness and awareness to build a better world. And that's really our kind of crazy goal that we're starting with, to kind of create this better world through wine. Because, the products we buy and the products we consume directly impact everybody else around us. And I think it's really important to be conscious of that. And for me, the goal was to make a product that I could be proud of, that I could put out into the world and know that it was ethical and that the sourcing was legitimate. And so while I don't make every single drop that goes into these blends, I do source very intentionally from smaller producers, smaller vineyards, and smaller farmers to blend these wines. And that's never going to change. And it gives me the opportunity to help those farmers too, by finding a place for these exceptional quality wines, and a way for people to recognize them.
And I like that point. Normally nowadays, we really do read the labels. Right? We'll pay a little bit more attention to, because of various reasons. Winemakers are so unique, and they usually, when we don't get a chance to meet them at the vineyards,
right?
We get a chance to really get a little piece of them when they really put in little tidbits of the personality or the family or so forth in their labels or in their bottles, right? Yeah. And I love the fact that I've seen so many winemakers, they say the thing in the middle, little flower, reminds me, that's my wife's favorite flower. This is part of the logo of the state where I was raised and so forth. So they come together and really make the representation in the label of themselves, right? Yeah. So we should really take some time and really look at the label and really respect it, right? Not just drink it. So
right.
And I saw on your label, obviously in the back, it says crafted sustainably with authenticity, transparency, and of an off-the-grid winery in California.
Yeah,
that's huge, because we know that your winery that you have over there, that you craft your single vineyard wines, is a completely sustainable off-the-grid, right?
Right.
And who doesn't want to support that type of venue?
Right. And so that's this is the first blend, and as it's called evolution, and the idea is that we're sort of always evolving, always in some sort of flux as humans. And so this is the first blend. It was crafted off-grid sustainably, and now we've actually continuing to evolve, have found a new home as evolution is starting to take off, to scale it as more and more demand starts to heat up. And that is still sustainable because we've chosen a location where the power grid is primarily geothermal and solar power. And the wastewater treatment treats the water all the way back to irrigation quality, even drinking quality, though they use it to irrigate the vineyards in the area. So now we're on-grid sustainable, which is really cool for our next evolution and necessary. And, so in life, as you evolve, things come and things go. And we're kind of in that flux. And so that was the other reason this brand it really was my story. It really fit, like you said, it became a big part of my transition in life as I looked at the values that I have as a person, which, as conscious consumption, all of those things that we espouse on a label and within the evolution, concept. But within my own life, I had to make it sustainable, make it functional. And having a family and living so far away it was taxing. It was taking away from my life, not adding to it. And I believe that your life is too short to do anything other than add and grow and evolve when you have to. And here we are.
So, and I love that. I think that's why your label evolution really does tie in so close to you. It's something so close to home, because it's just part of your whole life, your whole ecosystem, your environment, right? Because something really, when I think about your single varietal wines, they're amazing wines. And you said it's a little bit more limited because the scalability of who you can reach.
Yeah.
And so then your reflecting point, when you're starting to reflect about how you could reach a little bit more, make it more accessible, And it wasn't just making wine to make it less expensive or so forth. You really had to take on this whole evolution of your life, your family, and make it all happen, right? And that's so cool because you own the name, you really own it, right? You own it, you did it, and now we're sitting here discussing it, which is awesome.
Right, and I think that's, I obviously firmly believe, and I'm sure you agree, wine is an art, and art imitates life, right? I mean, that's a famous quote, and that's exactly what this label is. So the designing the foundational process, it was a very personal experience for me, going through this assessment. And I think a lot of people during our recent pandemic had a lot of sort of soul searching and self-assessment to see what's really matters and what's really important. And evolution is the result of that. It's the result of me sort of distilling down all of what really mattered most to me and trying to create something that expressed that as another expression of art that I do in my life. And then also taking that to try to benefit the world, and reaching more people allows me to, more people have better wine. That's easy, step number one. But two, it allows us to grow and, support community action and support other things that we believe in as we continue.
So as we continue now, I've picked up amazing aromatics.
Yeah.
I already took 2 sips of your wine. So tell me about your wine. Describe it to me, what I should be picking up and so forth.
Absolutely. So as you know, Evolution is a blend, right? And the goal of a blend like this is to be a house wine or a house style. So it should be fairly consistent overall. With Evolution, you should generally have a red, fresh kind of fruit aromatic up front. You should always have something that gives you kind of a fruity, fresh feeling. It's a lighter bodied to medium bodied red. It's not a heavy wine, which makes it perfect for kind of casual, daily, have a glass of wine with dinner. It's very versatile with pairing because of that. It's light enough that it doesn't overpower a sort of more delicate food, but it's strong, it's got sturdy, it's got that acid backbone. You could put it with some spare ribs and it would still stand up quite well, And so it's just a beautiful wine for that. And, God forbid you and whoever you're eating with eat different things, right? So this is great for that as well.
No, I love that. The fruit forwardness, the acidity, at the end, it balances that out really well. Right. And it was a raspberry that you pick up, and it's it's not overwhelming. It just sits so well on your palate. Like you mentioned, you could eat it with anything sweet or anything spicy. I could see how this could be, a nice house blend.
Right.
That could be a daily, right?
Right. And that's the idea. And then we have created some clubs so you can kind of set and forget, and you just get ultra premium wine delivered right to your door. And it's no must. We're not worried about all the details, but you're doing something good for the world. You're going to get an outstanding product. So it's a huge win, in my opinion, for everybody involved. As for the consumer, for me as a winery, I get to reach more people. I get to make more connections, which is really, in a lot of ways, what it's all about.
No, absolutely. And right now you mentioned this is a blend from your single vineyard and another small vineyard. Mm-hmm. What is your capacity of production that you made of this?
Of this particular blend, the first blends are, we do different size runs based on the lots of wine. So I actually have 2 sort of similar blends going, some, in reserve for the second release. We actually have you may have seen some stuff online. We have a cool avant-garde release going on for our club members. And then this blend is more what it's going to be going forward in terms of really a fruit forward, acid defined wine. I mean, both of them are very similar. One might be raspberries, one might be red cherry. You might get a strawberry. So you're not going to get the same wine every time too, which is kind of nice if you're looking for, good quality, but maybe you want a little variety in that good, in that framework. And it's also an excellent way to learn about us. And once you're in the club, they're fully customizable. So if you decide, hey, I'm going to try out some of these more, better, single vineyard wines, you absolutely can, and you get a discount on them, and it's, you can throw that in your club shipment if you just want to upgrade, 1 bottle out of the 6 or something like that. Or if you want to upgrade all of them, I mean, we're very, very accommodating. But it's a great opportunity to just kind of get involved with what we're doing, and support a small winery.
I think this is your step one for people that have not tried your single vineyard. Obviously, the entry point pricing is pretty amazing. And like I said, so it's either a little bit more than half of what your a single varietal bottle that you make, which is awesome. But this is such a great teaser. Obviously, I've been spoiled because I've had your other stuff. And when I tried this, all the same. It was all the same marks. It was great aromatics, great fruits. The acidity levels are well balanced, and based on the varietal, I mean, it lived up to itself. 5 stars, right? So it is. I really love the fact that you were able to come in with such a great product. And so you only have about 30 cases of this. Is that
so I have 30 cases of that. So and I know, but I guess we should share the mafia said, "Oh, it fell off a truck." Well, literally the first 30 cases fell off a truck. I was driving exhausted, and again, this is the inspiration for the brand, right? So it's so integral to the product, to the wine, to me, to my life, to my career, everything. I'm driving this truck at harvest. It was probably a 23-hour day, if not longer. And I'm driving to take some wine to a warehouse so I can take some grapes to the winery so I can make more wine because I need to make room to make wine. And the distances were really great, pretty far, 4 or 5 hours at a time each way. Wow. And so I'm stopping, and in the process, I'm stopping by the lab, because when you go to civilization from out there, you do everything that you can on the road. I'm turning and I'm making a sharp right turn, and the right tire just hits the curb, and I'm just going a little bit too fast, and the truck does this. And for whatever reason, I still don't know, the strap popped loose. And as it rocked, those cases just went boom, right on the ground. And if you check out our Instagram, you can see the image. Wow. And where my heart just fell out of my chest. And I was like, oh shit. And I was, it was already an 18-hour day. I was like, this day just got a lot fucking longer. I don't know if you have to edit that or not, but that's true. That's the straight from the source words that I felt. So this happens, and I'm like, well, this wine's good. The bottles that didn't blow up and watching wine run down the gutter, which was pretty, there were a lot of feelings. We'll just put it that way. Yeah. And I salvaged as much as I could. I picked it all up. And I didn't feel good about selling that as one of our ultra premium wines because it'd been bumped around, but it still tastes outstanding. So those first 30 cases are actually our single barrel wines, but they got all mixed up in the spill, and we relabeled them because those labels got wine on them and stuff. And we relabeled them with the Evolution label because we said, let's just throw some chaos. We had chaos happen. We're just gonna pass it on, but the chaos is a good one because it means you get exceptional. You get the same, $50, $60 bottle of single barrel wine for a fraction of the cost. But the trick is you don't know which barrel. So it's kind of a fun game, right?
I like that. You don't know, you don't know which one it is, but but you know what? The flavor profile. I picked it up because I've had your other stuff, and I was like, wow, this is just on point on all cylinders, right? Because when you try such great wine that you make from your single vineyard stuff, and you did a little bit of a splash here, a little bit of this to blend with the other one. I mean, it's just, you did it again. Scientifically, your skill came in again, man, because it blended beautiful.
Yeah, and it's so much fun, and that's what it's really cool for me too, is, harvest only comes once a year, but I can blend wine kind of anytime. And so it's a neat opportunity to keep me busy in the off season, I guess.
So is this wine going to be good for us to hold it for a year, 2 years, or what do you recommend?
You absolutely can. The goal of Evolution is to be, a daily drinker, kind of no muss, no fuss. Now, our single vineyard wines, that's kind of the point, is to really watch those evolutions and the single barrel evolutions. Now, since we know the first 30 cases were single barrel wines, they will absolutely evolve for years and years, and you could mark them as such. And that could be a really fun project. And if you want to play really fun games with your friends, you could, we do have a single barrel lineup that will be released very soon of the ones that didn't fall off the truck. So only a portion of it fell off the truck. Some of them stayed in the winery, and those will be released to our club members, probably exclusively. So if you were in the Evolution Club, for example, you could buy 6 bottles of single barrel, buy this first release, and then play guessing games, you know, say, is it this one? Is it that one? You know, you gotta have 12 bottles of wine open at once. So there's that, but it's worse parties, right?
I like that. That's so true.
Our Evolution Club, you can hop on our site and sign up for either the 6 or 12 bottle club. They come 4 times a year, which is great. So you can kind of stay always stocked with your favorite wines. You'll default to this label, and the first 30 cases, first come, first serve, will be this. If you're interested, you can always email us. You know, we love to hear from our club members and discover, where you fell in the lineup, I guess. And, but guaranteed everything, even if you miss those 30 cases, you've had both. I think I mixed yours so that you would have a blend, a blend of blends, right? So that you can kind of tell that they're a little bit, you won't know the variation, right? Even if you open 2, is single barrel, is it a blend of this? But the goal is that it's all Terragina. It's all that house style. It's got that hallmark acidity. It's got that hallmark fruit. It's got that sort of red, fresh character, and it's got some complexity, and it evolves in the glass as you drink it. And those are sort of the key points. I was like, what makes a great wine? It doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't matter what vineyard it came from. I mean, it does in the sense that from an ethical standpoint, I care.
Right.
But from a pretentious standpoint, I really don't care at all, because that's not what this wine is about.
Got it.
Now,
So what's going to happen once you finish this 30 cases? What's going to be the next production?
Sure.
Where is it coming from? What's going to be the fruit? Something about that.
Right. So that'll be a blend of different appellations from across Northern California. The first one is some Humboldt Nebbiolo and some Sonoma Pinot that I made. The next one, who knows? It's kind of a playground, and that's the beauty of it. But the style will be, what you have and what you have come to trust from Terragina single vineyards, but in a less sort of formalized, more casual sort of option.
Oh, that's great. And I want to ask you this question. So if you could call in a favor to anyone in the wine industry, what would that be?
Ooh.
How to throw you off course a little bit.
Yeah, that's hard, man. I don't like asking for favors, because then I have to do them back,
Absolutely. Payback,
right? Make them an offer and refuse.
Exactly. What would it be?
No, so I'll be really vulnerable here. This is actually something I thought about that we'll see if it happens. I would love, and I don't know who to ask this favor of, to be honest. I've always thought the 40 under 40 was pretty rad. It was pretty cool. I got 3 years left. So if I could pull that off, that would be pretty sick. So I guess that would be a favor to wine enthusiasts or whoever, decides that list. But yeah, that would be the one if I had to pick one, just because I don't know. I've worked hard for this, I've done a lot of work. I've learned winemaking from the vineyard to the glass. I've learned logistics. I've learned just marketing, everything. And so I feel that I've done a lot, and it would feel good to be recognized. Now, do I need that? Absolutely not. I feel good about the product I make. I feel good about the people I impact. But it wouldn't be bad. It never hurts to feel good, right?
No, exactly. A little recognition, a little pat on the back. 40 under 40. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want that?
Right.
Okay. Wine Spectator, come on. We're gonna have to tell you on this one. So, when you think about the wine industry as a whole, if you had a chance to do it all over again, would you be in the wine industry?
Wow. Oof. Well, yes and no, right? One of the reasons for evolution is because I'm sick of all of the gatekeeping. I'm sick of all of sort of the layers that you have to go through to find good wine. And then even more, if you want good wine that was sourced with ethics, right? And you have to dig really deep. And that's a lot of work I don't think the consumer should have to do, right? We're supposed to provide products to them that are easy and accessible and high quality and have a moral compass. And that's what I'm trying to do here. And we're a little bit renegade in that way, in the sense that we kind of, aren't trying to push it through the traditional marketing of the wine industry per se. We're trying to really reach people that maybe haven't fallen into that, have been turned off by the pretension, turned off by that person that's too cool to drink their wine. I guarantee you that if you take this wine to a party as a casual gift, if someone gives you shit, give them my phone number, tell them to call me, and I'll send them a single barrel or a single vineyard wine, and we can go at it, because I believe in this wine 100%. It's just as good as our single vineyard wines. It just doesn't have the pedigree, you know, it doesn't have the name of the vineyard, the status, but the quality's there. There's no question.
You know, what determined your style of winemaking?
Right. So I told this story recently. When I started winemaking, so actually before I started winemaking, when I started drinking wine, I was drinking a lot of imports, Spanish, reds, Italian reds, great price, quality to price ratio at the time, and still very good. And I started to really, that price point started to creep up. And I was just out of college at the time. So it's not like I was, you know, rolling in dough. And I said, I bet I could make that. And here we are, I guess. I mean, that's literally, that's what happened. And I said, well, I can't afford it, so I'm going to make it. Little did I know it would have been much cheaper to buy the $100 bottle of wine and not do this, but it wouldn't nearly have been as much fun. So I got that going for this project. The California, I have a lot of love for California. I mean, I'm a transplant here, but I'm, you know, in a way, I moved here on purpose. I chose this place. I chose this, you know, environment because I love it. And I think that the whole state has so much beauty to it. So that's why I didn't want to be restricted. And I'm no promises I won't make an Evolution blend from Oregon someday if I get interested, because the goal of this wine is not to be restricted. It's just to be totally free. You know, it could, and technically if you make it from 2 different states, it's an American wine. So maybe I'll make the next great American wine.
I like that. You can almost like you write a book about it, right? Chris, it was a pleasure again speaking with you today. I really appreciate the story about Evolution and where it's actually, why it started and where we're at now. And I really appreciate your time again.
It was a pleasure to be here. As always, Oscar, I really enjoy chatting with you about wine. I love your perspectives, and I know we're going to do it again soon. So,
absolutely. Well, you have a great weekend.
You too. Thanks.